Hi there, my name is Luis Villar, I'm from Science of Football, and today I'll be examining the game of Benfica against Fenerbahçe for the semi-finals of the European League. So Benfica played on a 4-4-2 with Enzo and Matic side by side. Okay, here you can see Enzo and Matic side by side, and Lima side by side with Cardoso on the front. On the other hand, Fenerbahçe played with a double defensive midfielder, Baroni on the left and Sahid on the right, Usan as an offensive midfielder, and Sao alone on the front. So when you examine the equilibrium of system play, you have 2 against 2 in the front, Lehmann closing on Egeman and Cardoso on Yobo, and you have a 2 versus 1 on the other side of the field with Luizão and Garay against Sao. So you have 1 versus 1 on the wings with Salvio Ziegel, Gökhan and Gaetan Almeida, Kite and Maxi and Erkin. And where I really believe the game was decided again was here, where Enzo defend really enclosed on the first midfielder, that usually it was Baroni, and Matic defended these two, Usan and Sahin, on a 1 versus 2, and Matic managed to gain this duel once again. So every time when we examine the first stage of offensive play of Fenerbahçe, every time Demirel had the ball, Lima enclosed here on Egeman, Cardoso on Yobo, Enzo on the first midfielder. Sometimes it was Sahin and sometimes it was Baroni. Actually, more often it was Baroni, and Matic again stood defending these two players. If the ball came on the air to San Matic enclosed here, and if the ball came playing through the field, Matic close here. Okay, so Matic managed to defend both Yusan and Sahin, and I think this was one of the key of the games, as we will see later. So, examining the first stage of offensive play of Benfica. So every time Benfica had the ball, both Garay and Luizão spread a little bit apart. And so it's very interesting. So this was really strategy from Fenerbahçe. I'm pretty sure of it. So Sao defended Luizão a little bit on this side, forcing Artur to play on Garay because Luizão was close, of course. Sao was very near the passing line. So because Luizão was close, Artur had to play to Garay, and Garay, every time it received on the back, Dirk Kuyt managed to defend this passing line, okay, and prevented Garay from putting the ball here, and he made a 2 versus 2 defensive here. The problem is that Garay is a really good player, so Garay managed to do this, and Matic and Enzo came here, and this was a problem for Usan because, as you can see, Baroni and Sahin never came here. They defended in a zonal position. So Yusan had to defend these two players, and Garay usually, because Yusan came on Matic, Garay usually put on Enzo, and Enzo came right along this area. So this was a problem, and mainly in one of the key issues I really believe on Benfica's game, it was that Enzo, every time Enzo was coming with the ball, and Baroni tried to defend this passing line to Salvi, because Salvi it's a really dangerous player, and Sahin stood on a zonal position. Gaetan managed to do this, and he conquered this area, okay? And this, for me, it was the key issue of the game. Every time the ball entered on Gaetan, there was a 3 versus 2 here with Lima, Cardoso and Gaetan against Yobo and Egeman, and I believe this was one of the key issues of the game, where Benfica really won the game and Fenerbahçe struggled to have defensive equilibrium. And every time Fenerbahçe had the ball, every time Fenerbahçe had the ball, Enzo enclosed on the midfielder, on defensive midfielder, they have the ball, and Matic enclosed on Usan. And because Garay came here, there was a 4 against 3 with numerical superiority of Benfica. And if the ball came to the other side, okay, Enzo came here, Matic came here, and Luizão ensured again a 4 versus 3. And Benfica always had the superiority and the advantage on their side. So the first problem for Fenerbahçe came at the minute 44 when Sahin got injured and the double defensive midfielder had to be replaced by Topuz, and Fenerbahçe keep playing with a double defensive midfielder, but one substitution was done. And at the minute 59, another problem. So Gökhan got injured in a duel with Gaetan. He had to come out, and Bekir went to the right defensive position. And the problem is at the minute 59, Fenerbahçe had 2 substitutions done, and Benfica was just winning by 1 goal. So as Benfica scored the 3rd goal and the game started being on Benfica's side, the coach of Fenerbahçe had to do something, because this was too defensive and it wasn't possible to win the game like that. So what he did, he took... at this point, what he did, he took Yobo out, okay, and he put Bekir on the middle and put Topuz on the right defensive position, and Baroni start playing alone as a single defensive midfielder, okay. Usan start playing with Kite as a double offensive midfielder, and the triangle was positioned like this. Erkin swapped the holes, the channels, and by wings he went to the right wing, and Stock entered to the left wing, okay. And at this point they continued to play in a 4-3-3, but with a double offensive midfielder and just a single defensive midfielder, okay. As you can see here, Saul continued alone on the front. And at this point, Benfica had 3 substitutions to do and 5 or 7 or 10 minutes to go. And at the 86th minute, Benfica changed for a 4-4-2 to a 4-3-3. So what happened is that Gaetan went playing here, and Benfica started playing with a triangle in the midfield. Cardoso came out, and Urreta went to the left. And at this point, Benfica were playing with 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 forward players in a 4-3-3 system of play. So as the time went along, Fenerbahçe had to do something, because things were not going well for them. So what they did, I believe it was really clever. So what they did is put Egeman, that it's a good player that plays really good with the head. It just went side by side with Saul. And at this point, Bekir stood alone with Topuz and Ziegel in a 3-man defensive line. The triangle stood the same, and he had at this point 4 players on the front. So the system of play was 3-3-4, and they just start kicking the ball straight ahead to the field. And at this point, Jorge Jesus understood that, the coach from Benfica, and because Egeman was on the front, Jorge Jesus was very fast to understand. It took like 3-4 minutes to put Roderick just in between Luizão and Garay to win the ball with Egeman, and it took Gaetan out, okay. So we start playing with 5 defenders, okay, 5 defenders here, 2 midfielders, and 3 attackers. And he managed to keep, and this was very clever, he managed to keep these 2 and 3 players in the field, so that they really keep pressurizing the defensive of 3 players of Fenerbahçe, so they could not kick the ball with the right angle and right strength, and continue to push for the 4th goal, and that would close up the game for sure. So let me talk about 4 key points that I really think made all the difference. In the first key point, Benfica defensive intensity. It was really fantastic to see how Benfica was pressurizing all game, all along. Enzo very close Baroni, and Matic very close Sahin, and leaving Usan alone, and the ball never entered in Usan. So the second point I really like to emphasize is the displacements of Gaetan in between the defensive and midfield lines of Fenerbahçe, and this made a difference because, as I said earlier, Gaetan with Lima and Cardoso managed to do a 3 against 2 situation against Yobo and Egeman, the two central defenders. So another key issue that I believe that made a significant difference in the game was the unexpected injuries of Gökhan and Sahin, and the coach on Fenerbahçe needed the substitutions to make the difference in the final 10-15 minutes, and he couldn't because he had one more substitution, so he had to put Egeman on the front, and he could not put a player in. So the last thing I wanted to emphasize, as I emphasized on the first leg, it's the environment of the stadium. It was really incredible, and I really believe that the 12th player today made the difference and gave the winning to Benfica. So my name is Luis Vilar. If you want, you can visit my website, Science of Football. You can visit me also on my Facebook page of Science of Football. Or if you want to change some ideas, just let me know and send me an email on luispedrovilar@gmail.com. Thank you very much. See you later.